On today's video, I will be talking about bipolar affective disorder. It also is referred to as manic depressive disorder. This is simply because with bipolar affective disorder, the major feature is an extreme affective dysregulation of the mood such that the person swings from one end of the mood to another end, which basically an end of mania and to another end of depression. That is why it is called bipolar, which means two poles. Now, it's a common condition, occurs in about 2% of the population, and it's also one mental illness that is easily recognizable. Now, there are various variants of bipolar. I'm not going to go into so much of the details of the variants, but suffice it to say that they are similar. The variants are similar. There are just slight differences in the various variants. And when I talk about the variants, so there's something called bipolar 1, bipolar 2, cyclothymia. The symptoms are basically similar, just that there are slight differences from one to the other. On today's video, I will just focus on talking about what are the signs and the symptoms that are seen in mania. I'm not going to talk much about depression, the other pole called the depressive pole, because in another video, I will talk about the symptoms of depression, which is similar to what you will see in bipolar affective disorder. So I want to focus on just talking about the symptoms that are seen in mania. So as I go ahead to list and talk extensively on the symptoms that are seen in mania, I just want to quickly say that it's important that you do not go from this video and just make a self-diagnosis. I would strongly advise that you still get a one-on-one diagnosis even after watching this video, in case you think you may be experiencing a manic episode or experiencing bipolar, or you have a loved one that's experiencing bipolar. So here we go, talking about the manic symptoms. Number one, basically, a person who's experiencing a manic symptom will experience some sense of feeling of euphoria or an elation of mood. That means the individual will be exceedingly happy, and the happiness is not in context of what is going on around the surrounding. So it's not in context and also not in proportion. So the individual can be playing music but overly happy, just overly excited about the things going on around them. And sometimes too, it could also be that there may be an increase in irritability. So there's elation of mood, there's a euphoric feeling, or there is irritability. Secondly, there could also be with this individual some social inhibition removal. What I mean by that is that the person is no longer inhibited socially. So you may see this individual being overly talkative. You may see this individual just going, and usually the talkativeness, usually the person is easily distractible. So it can move from one particular topic to another particular topic, so and just go on and on. So the person may be saying something, and then you mention something else, and then it moves from that particular topic and then latches on to what has been mentioned. And then if something else is even mentioned in the midst of that conversation, he or she will switch to that other conversation. So they are easily distractible. And with removal of the social inhibition, you may also have this individual finding themselves being over familiar with people around them. So talking with people they will not normally talk with, expressing some level of over familiarity with the people around them. That too could also occur. Then in mania, you could also have a challenge with sleep. Particularly with mania, you have people sleeping for less than 3 hours in the entire day. And it's not unusual to hear somebody experiencing a manic episode say something like, well, I don't need sleep, and great men don't need sleep. So this individual will stay up at night, may fall asleep, one, find it difficult to go to bed, but when they eventually do, they will be up within the next 1 hour to less than 2 hours, up again, excited, and busying themselves around the house. So they may begin to fold things, arrange things, may want to go out of the house at the early hours of the night, or want to do certain activities, play music, watch the TV at that time of the night. So they are usually loudly busy when they wake up at wee hours of the night. Another thing that could happen with individuals that are experiencing a manic episode is that they could also be, there may be increased libido. So there's sexual expressions, there could be sexual inhibitions, there could be increase in libido for sex, and the person desires more sex, and then is more expressive to people around them, desiring more sex. Also, with people experiencing a manic episode, they may also begin to spend excessively and begin to be really extravagant with their giving. And this also can be a bit of a challenge, but you watch out for that also, giving out gifts, buying things they don't really need, and just buying excessively. Sometimes we use the word spending spree. With this individual also, you may have an inflated self-esteem. So the individual may may say things like, I'm a very important person, I'm very special, or I'm on a special assignment, and have this whole grandiose idea of themselves, of their self-worth. And also with these individuals, you could also find happening with them being over optimistic, being having so much ideas, feeling as though every idea they have is just fantastic, is just great, and it's just the next big thing that will literally change the political landscape, or change the world, or change their finances, or change the finances of the people around them. And then also with them, you could also experience increased energy, so much energy that can be displayed like an increase in activity. So the individual is pacing everywhere, just going everywhere, wants to be everywhere, and they may start out a task, leave that task without completing that task, move on to another task. So there's so much activity just going on everywhere. And then finally, you could have the individual have an increased appreciation for colors, and this will literally play out as maybe wearing bright colors and just changing wears over and over again in a particular day. Now, I particularly will not say what the diagnostic criteria is, but I'm just putting this out there so that you can identify. You don't need the individual to have all of the symptoms to make a diagnosis. No, it's not required. But these symptoms should be present for at least 1 week. 1 week, that is very important. Now, there are variants, so sometimes even if it lasts shorter than a week, it then falls into a particular variant. But these basically are the signs and symptoms that are seen in bipolar affective disorder. When bipolar disorder is not properly understood or managed, it can lead to significant negative impact on one's profession, on one's education, on one's relationship, on one's finances, and even one's personal safety. On the next video, I will be talking about strategies that are effective in managing bipolar disorder. I hope this has been useful to you. Kindly share and spread the word. Let's spread the education on mental health. Just in case you have not already subscribed, kindly do that. That way you don't get to miss out on any of the subsequent videos. Thank you very much.